Want some hot chocolate? No, whatever you're putting in there.
I've been told to go buy the cactus. And I thought, yeah, where the hell do we have cactus? I see them now. I'm trying to follow directions.
There are nowadays, but I'm down here. There's some flexibility there, which is nice.
It's too much to I know.
With that rousing something, if Drew can have your attention.
Welcome everyone back to Riverbend Farm. I think for a lot of you who've been here before, and for those who are new to Riverbend Farm, welcome. A year ago we were celebrating our groundbreaking, the fact that we had just closed on the property in November of 2017, and now a year later we're reconvening just to thank the many people, including many of you in the room and folks that I know we're streaming right now, so if folks want to watch online, they can watch and see us do this presentation. So I do want to put a huge thank you to Rich O'Brien and Heather, our incredible chef, Rich O'Brien, putting the food out. Thank you, Rich. And the development team, especially Leanna Bonds, our development manager, who put a lot of the things here, and of course we'll be meeting our development director in just a minute, Bryan Matluk. It's actually 20 years ago that with my dear friends Steve Signal and Brad Bradway, we started the Ecology School. In December 1998, we filed our nonprofit paperwork with the state of Maine. So,
Wow.
Yes. It actually was also 20 years ago that Mary Merrill decided to put Riverbend Farm under conservation easement. Coincidence or destiny? I don't know, but here we are now. Destiny, yes, thank you, Ginny, it's destiny. When Steve and Brad and I had started the beginning works to start the Ecology School, we had a very definite goal in mind. All of us had been involved with education, nonprofit work, but we thought we could do better. We thought we could up the ante, and that through the teaching, the science of ecology, and the practice of sustainability to thousands of kids a year, we could make a difference for sustainability in communities. And by doing that, really focusing on rigorous ecology, but helping kids and adults reimagine how the future might be. Not to say it's okay the way things are now, that if we're thoughtful, if we understand how the world works, if we use the science of ecology as a lens to view the world, that we can apply that and have a much more sustainable 21st century. And that's what we've done. 175,000 program participants later, I'm proud to say that in our 20th anniversary, we're transitioning to our own property here at Riverbend Farm. So really what this is today is a celebration of all the family and friends and colleagues and alumni, both students and staff, that have made this dream possible. And really, we've come so far, and yet we have a long way to go, but we really just want to recognize a lot of important people who have helped make this project really. The Ecology School at Riverbend Farm will be breaking ground on green building and farming and in education, not only in Maine, but in New England, nationally, and I would even say internationally. And of course, throughout the next few months, you'll hear more about that. But right now, I'd like to have Bryan come up as our development director. He and I are going to go kind of back and forth, and we'd like to recognize the Hall of Fame, the rock stars of our capital campaign and fundraising for Riverbend Farm so far. Bryan.
Yeah, thank you, Drew. So along those lines, one of the things that we always like to say at the Ecology School is we have this word that we use, which is reimagine. And certainly the Ecology School at Riverbend Farm is a reimagining of what the Ecology School has been in the past. And actually the founding of the Ecology School was a reimagining of the way that outdoor education had been into what it could potentially be. When we hired a bunch of capital campaign consultants, they basically gave us a wonderful list of things to do, but it was pretty much cookie cutter. We took that document and the first thing that it says is raise 50% of everything that you need from your board of directors, and then make sure that you have a couple of donors that are going to be able to match that, and boom, you've got your $2 million. And we're like, well, we would love it if we could do that, but it was very apparent that we weren't going to be able to do that. So we took that document, we took the traditional capital campaign, and we reimagined it. We reimagined a movement of close friends, close supporters, people that over the past 20 years have known about us and loved us, and reimagined, well, what would it be like if they're the ones that form the ground of the capital campaign, instead of this, one philanthropist that gave us $1 million. And so that's really been the core of the capital campaign. First, we worked with our board members, and 100% of board giving was accomplished in what, Mary, like 2 months? Which was really incredible for us, an organization that's been around for 20 years, and we've never really sat down one-on-one with the board members and said, we really need your financial support. Then we went to a couple of really close friends and neighbors. Soon, almost as if out of the woodwork, an alumna came up to us and pledged $75,000, more than any other alumna had ever given us. And then she said, you know what, I believe in this so much, I believe in our alumni so much, our phone network so much, that I'm going to challenge them with another $75,000. Wow. And then really soon after that, one of our founding board members came forward and said, the Ecology School has meant everything to me. And so I've asked my brother-in-law, who's working with an estate, to see if he can find a charitable donation within that estate. And that ended up being the largest gift in our history. And so now, yes, it's our 20th anniversary. We're not even halfway through the capital campaign in terms of dates, but we've already raised over $1,300,000. So we're over the 50%. And really, like, I'm looking around the room, and it's like just about everyone that we're going to thank is either on this room or on the live stream, or hopefully is going to be watching this a little bit later. So what we would like to do is just take this opportunity and verbally thank the people that have meant so much to making this project happen.
Great, thank you, Bryan. Bryan had already mentioned the amazing Daniel Offutt gift, and I wish John Painter, who is our former board member, is on the road right now coming, so hopefully he'll walk right through the door while I'm talking. I'll be here in a few minutes. But his brother-in-law was able to work on an estate of someone, Daniel Offutt, who was very dear to John's mother, and they just pledged $250,000, the largest gift this organization has ever received. And guess when it showed up in the mail? Today. I want to give a big thank to Richard Orenstein, the trustee of the Daniel Offutt Charitable Trust, and thank you for your timing on that, Richard. I went right to even though I had all these things I needed to do for the event, I hopped in the car and deposited the check because, and I did take a picture, so if anyone wants to see what a $250,000 check looks like, I can show you. So thank you, Daniel Offutt Estate, and thank you, John Peda, for your 20 years. John was one of our founding board members who was there back 20 years ago when we started. Another group of people I'd like to acknowledge are my family and friends. We have actually, once I started the capital campaign, I talked with my mother, Mary Dumsch, and her brother, David Harrison, about honoring my grandmother, Norma Harrison, who was one of my nature mentors as a child. Last month, we actually, between April and May, we were able to raise enough money to name the North Wing. And I love that it's a wing because my grandmother was an inveterate birder. So naming the North Wing after Norma Harrison. And that includes my uncle and Aunt David and Cindy Harrison. My grandmother's sister, Marjorie Keeler, who just turned 90, was a large donor, and her daughter, Kathy Lozier, and her family were big donors. My wife and I stepped up as part of that Norma Harrison naming, and then a close friend of my grandmother's in front of my mom, Donald, and Susan Grant. Susan Grant, who's a judge back in Michigan, donated. And then folks like my aunt, Rebecca Harrison, her daughter, Olivia Clausen, my cousin, Jordan Harrison, and his husband, Adam Greenfield, Anna and Max Hortzberg, my cousins, Jamie Plutenberg, and her family. And then my parents really stepped up. They've already, great parents. Not only did they raise me where I could actually step in and run a nonprofit, but they have been really generous with the land acquisition to buy the project, and then also the Riverbend Farm project. And I'm going to hand over to Bryan for some other acknowledgments.
Sure. We, of course, needed to thank Capital Campaign co-chair and the former owner of Riverbend Farm, Tom Merrill, and his wife Polly, who contributed $75,000 for the capital campaign, in addition to the $100,000 that they gave to help purchase the property, both in honor of Mary D. Merrill, who lived on the property starting in 1954. We already mentioned, and she knows who she is, an anonymous alumna who contributed $75,000, and then an additional $75,000 for a challenge grant. And that's in honor of our fantastic order of alumni masters, the Foamers, our alumni, and that's to name the outdoor theater. And of course, recently, Jane's Trust for their grant of $125,000, which is one of the largest grants in the Ecology School's history.
The largest foundation grant we've ever done. Foundation grant.
The trust, Jane's Trust, was created through the beneficence of Jane B. Cook and aims to continue the legacy and generosity established during her lifetime. And Mrs. Mary Love May and Paul W. Gabrielson for their gift of $75,000 in honor of their daughter Sarah Gabrielson and the fall 2012 and spring 2013 cohorts of environmental educators, and also for the $30,000 in establishing the land acquisition campaign, along with Mark and Jane Ritchie and Michael and Leslie May.
Bryan already mentioned how the board stepped up, and I really want to give a shout out to Stephen Grindle, our board treasurer, who's not only helped me with the complexities of moving ahead with Riverbend Farm. We just finished up our examination opinion and financial feasibility report, which is 126 pages of a lot of accounting that we submitted to USDA Rural Development for our financing for the project. But Stephen and all that kind of treasurer stuff has been that bedrock support, and he and his wife Marilee Grindle have been huge leadership supporters of the capital campaign as board members. Also, there's a wonderful, right now we're in the process of honoring Sharon Parent, and Amy Willette, her daughter, is on our board, and her husband Lucian is here, and her father Reg is here, but also other family members, Scott and Wendy Parent, Craig and Mary Parent, are also part of that process, and a lot of family and friends. So really, this project has turned into this kind of family and friend legacy, how to honor people who got us to where we are right now, to create such an amazing project as the Ecology School at Riverbend Farm. Also, the Quimby Family Foundation. I was just speaking of family legacy. That's a great family legacy project that Roxanne Quimby, when she founded the foundation, her actually daughter Hannah Quimby and son-in-law Zach are the folks who have been running the project, and we just received just a few weeks ago a $25,000 grant from them to support Riverbend Farm. Plus, we received $30,000 last year. So thank you, Quimby Family Foundation. Another kind of family legacy gift from a foundation, the Virginia Hodgkin Summers Foundation, this summer really came in early on giving us $50,000 from their foundation. And Ginny Hodgkins really had a lifelong affection for people of Maine, and especially southern Maine, and was generous to those less fortunate. Brian?
Yep. Along the theme of family challenges, those giving in honor of Floyd J. Huntley, including Guy and Robin Huntley. Guy and Robin were here last year at this event. Dee and Tom Brown and Nolan Stokes, who we thought was going to be here. We wish that he could have
Nolan
been.
was here, and he actually had to catch a plane, so I showed Nolan the area of the new dining hall and dorm. So Nolan was here and psyched and gives his
Awesome. The Davis Family Foundation, for a grant of $35,000 during the Land Acquisition Challenge. The foundation was established by Phyllis C. Davis and H. Halsey to support educational, medical, and cultural arts organizations located primarily in Maine. The Horizon Foundation for a grant of $15,000 during the Land Acquisition Challenge, and a second grant of $15,000 for the permaculture gardens. The foundation concentrates funding on building organizational and community-wide effectiveness, developing opportunities, raising aspirations, and generally making a positive and lasting difference. Do you think that we can mention their names?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know them a lot better than I do.
Yeah, the Horizon Foundation, Sandy and Sissy Buck, but Sandy has been such a wonderful, not only supportive friend, because Sandy started funding us. He funded our Ecology School Field Guide, our first solar power panels, our first multi-year school programming, our first garden program. The Horizon Foundation, every time we want to do something new, Horizon Foundation is there to help us make it happen. So thank you, Sandy, Sissy, and the Horizon Foundation. Some other folks to point out, on our capital campaign committee, we have Bridget Jones, and she and her husband, Dinesh Gilberton, have done real huge leadership gift, plus have given us a lot of accounting background and a design background, so we thank them. Our dear neighbor Martha Taylor has been a huge early donor to the campaign, as has Bobby Keppel, folks that we know from our years at Ferry Beach. The Morton Kelly Charitable Foundation, we just received $10,000 from them, and that was established back in 1988 for Joan Morton Kelly and her mother, Mildred Duncan Morton, to facilitate philanthropic activities. And Morton Kelly in the past has been very supportive of our program, so thank you for that support of Riverbend Farm. And then John is here now. John Craner himself personally gave a very generous donation for the capital campaign in honor of Charlie Chipmunk, is what I hear. Yes. But maybe that's an in-joke with John and I have naming opportunities. And John, we just want to know, because you walked in, we have already recognized Daniel Offutt and your mom and Steve Humphrey, your brother-in-law and sister, so of that amazing gift. And I told them about if they want to see the check, I have made a photo of the check. So
we're going to have it framed after we.
That's right. Exactly. Brian.
So board member Robert Atkins and his partner Deborah Thaxter, board member Linda and Guy Boudreau, board member Mike Hansen and Hannah, I'm sorry if I get your name wrong, Hannah Sukanik, in honor of Helen and Dorothy. So this one's really close to me. Those giving in honor of Jack, Lily, and Charlotte Matluk, 3 of the most important people in my life, and board chair Marion Forrest Martin.
Also from the board, we have, in honor of Holly Haskell Jomini, a gift from board member Corey Haskell, and in addition, the Anonymous Foundation that's backing that gift. Catherine and Mike Goodwin. Kathy and I see Mike in the back there. Thank you for your board gift for the Riverbend Farm Capital Campaign. Also, Susan and Mike Swanton, who are here. Thank you, Susan and Mike, for your gift to the Capital Campaign. And then also board member Jonathan Rooks. Also, so that really is honoring all the board members who not only in terms of money support of the program have been an amazing support network of networking, helping to everything from Kathy buying plates and cups for the farmhouse, Susan thinking of new fundraising ideas like Unplanned Air, John helping us with marketing, and a big shout out to Mary, just as board chair over the last 3 years. Mary has been such a bedrock support to me as president and CEO of really keeping the ball going despite huge hurdles and challenges. We keep on going. So thank you, Mary. At this point, actually, speaking of Mary, I'd love to have Mary up as board chair to kind of give concluding thoughts.
And on behalf of the Ecology School Board, I join Bryan and Drew in saying a heartfelt thank you to each of you. In addition to expressing appreciation to you, the Ecology School Board would like to take this opportunity to recognize and thank the Ecology School staff. As board members, we're part of lots of organizations, but I can confidently say that there is none that we are a part of like the Ecology School. The staff is what makes this organization different. As they have reimagined the Ecology School at Riverbend Farm, they have had a laser focus on their vision and their mission. And this optimism is deep and rare. And when we have encountered bumps in the road and sharp curves, and I will tell you there have been many, there have been many, they didn't stop and they didn't turn around. They found a path that worked. Their challenges have become opportunities to do something different, and often that turns out to be something better. And also relationships are at the heart of the Ecology School. And that relationship is the relationship to the environment, but it is also the relationship to each other, and to the students and to the schools that they serve. There are many collaborative partners, the board, and to all of you. And so Drew, I want to thank you for your leadership, your expertise, your long-term commitment to the Ecology School. Drew gives much of his time and himself to the Ecology School. So we also want to thank Lisa and the girls for sharing you with us, because they do. And Drew really is the charismatic voice and the face of the Ecology School, so we thank you. And Bryan, I want to say thank you to Bryan for his work on the Capital Campaign, for setting our goals high. And he not only set them high, he kept us focused on them, and then as you heard, we have exceeded that goal. So thank you, Bryan. I also want to say thank you to Leanna and to Caitlin for providing the outreach and the supporting development, and thank you for events like today. And Meg and Alex, I want to thank you for supporting and implementing a program that allows for the exploration of ecology and sustainability, while at the same time working on the transfer to a temporary site and expanding program. That's no small task. I want to thank Rich for this afternoon's refreshments and the quality work that he does for us throughout the year. Thank you to Kaylee and Emily and our nurse and our naturalist and our grant writer who's here with us today. We being the individuals, the families, the foundations, the trusts that have generously donated, the staff, our design team, and the board, we are on a journey together. And as a board, you need to know that we feel like we are an amazing company. So a huge thank you to each and every one of you. Thanks.
It's a wonderful day. It's not snowing, it's not raining, it's not icing. If everyone wants to wander around the property or go down the river, please do. But we still have plenty of hot chocolate, lots of food, beverages, so please enjoy yourself. I do also want to do a shout out to Mercer. Dick Mercerell has been with us through thick and thin as my advancement consultant and mentor, and I want to also thank Merce for hanging in, because he joined us right in a kind of a low period where things were really challenging, and Merce is good at always like helping me, bolster me, and saying it's a great project, hang in there, so thank you, Merce, too. And for all you that are streaming, watching right now, we sorry you couldn't attend the event, but of course you always know that you're always welcome at Riverbend Farm, and have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.